Moti is my nickname, you know, it happens and it happens in all Punjabi households. Lose some weight or, you know, hai to kinni moti ho gayi hai. You know, the biggest struggle, especially being in India, is if you go to a mall and you try on clothes and they don't fit. That makes you go in a loop in a way nothing else does.
I think men are more body shamed towards height, and that is something they can't do anything about, which is a very sad thing to say. For men, it takes so much more of a toll on their mental health because it's a non-fixable problem. It's not something they can do something about, you know. But thigh gap is a word that you can't search anymore. Young girls have started to search for thigh gaps and ways to get to thigh gaps. And what is the way to get to thigh gap? Don't eat. What are you eating all day? Water. My first thought should not be, oh my god, people are looking at me because I'm fat. You know, that used to be the case previously.
Hi Kirat.
Hi.
Welcome to Beyond the Screen with Shivi J. And I'm very excited to have a really fresh vibe in my studio today.
Thank you.
So, coming to get to know you, please tell me something about yourself. How have you reached and arrived where you are at today?
Hello everybody, my name is Kirat. So I've been a type 1 diabetic since I was 10 years old, and I've been creating content for about a year now, I think. It was something I was doing for fun, and now it's picked up, which is nice. And my day job is exports. We are into manufacturing of home textiles, and I was handling my US office, warehouse, branch, whatever you want to call it. And this year I decided that I don't want to live there anymore because it's a very toxic environment and I'd rather be home. So long story short, I am somebody who's traveled, somebody who's lived in multiple continents, somebody who's faced a lot of health things on and off. And yeah, that makes me who I am today, I think, if I answer that correctly.
Yes, of course. I mean, talking about type 1 diabetes, how did you get it?
So, funny story, as I said, I've always been plus size, so to say. So even as a kid, I was little plumpy, on the plumpy side, and I was 10 years old, and I suddenly started losing a lot of weight over the summer. And from about, I think I was 50 kgs at that time, I dropped down to about 37, 38 kilos. And we were in Ludhiana for Independence Day weekend with my family. So at that time, my Taya ji used to run a clinic in Ludhiana. So we went for testing, and उस दिन रात को ना सबको थोड़ा सा शक हो गया कि इतना weight lose हो गया है. I have so much water. In the middle of the night, I would wake up. I would literally gulp down bottles of water, and then I would wake up with cramps on my feet. Like literally, my dadi had to like literally hold my feet to straighten them, rub them, and then only I would be able to wake up.
You're talking about when you're 10 at this time?
I'm 10 years old. Yeah, I'm 10 years old when this is happening. And then over the summer, I had a little foda on my back, a little boil on my back. And that burst. When that burst, there was blood everywhere in the bathroom and everything. And we went to a doctor in Delhi, in Rajinder Nagar at that time. And the doctor said, no, this is just from, you know, aam se ho jata hai, you eat so much aam in the summer, usse ho gaya hai, there's nothing to worry about. And this is, mind you, a month before my actual diagnosis came in. So if I caught it at that time, I would have still probably been a pre-diabetic, which is why I don't trust a lot of doctors here in India. It takes me a while.
Yeah.
And then we went to Ludhiana, and us weekend sabke blood tests ho rahe the, and you know, I used to be so scared of needles and all of this that I was like, okay, kara lo, everybody's doing it. So, you know, I got forced into doing my blood test. My sugars came to be 650 something. It was insanity. I still remember this so clearly. We went to a friend of my Tayaji, who's an endocrinologist, and we were sitting in his clinic, and my dad wanted to try to figure out a way to airlift me to Delhi, or just, you know, because वहाँ पे airports तो उस time पे थे नहीं, तो जैसे कि कुछ कर सकते हैं दिल्ली लेके जाने के लिए, because लुधियाना में what is the hospital, what are the doctors, we don't know, you know, we don't know the level of it. I remember the doctor said, you should be grateful that your daughter is standing. आपने कोई चंगे कर्म करे होंगे life में, because इस BP पे, my BP was 90/40. My sugar was something like 600-700 post meal and stuff. He said, इस BP पे और इस sugar पे बच्चे कोमा में चले जाते हैं. आपकी बेटी कैसे खड़ी है मुझे नहीं पता, और ये मुझे खुद याद है. I remember the doctor saying this. So then I was hospitalized for about a week. it was a tough time for all of my family. I think my mother more than anybody else, you know, because seeing your child in that position and going to a hospital is like, acha, hospital jaake theek ho jayega bachcha, ghar aa jayega, right? But diabetes is something you live for the rest of your life, and that is something that was very, very hard for my mom to fathom, for so many other people to fathom. So that happened, and that's how I got diabetic. I was 38 kilos. My bones, well, literally my bones used to show from my face, from my thighs, everywhere.
To be very honest, in India, it's really unheard of that, you know, a kid going through type 1 diabetes.
Yeah.
But however, the awareness that we are getting through you today, it's really remarkable. And talking about body positivity, so you have been an advocate of it for quite some time now.
Yeah.
So what sparked your interest in body positivity?
I think, like I mentioned, I've been plump or plus size or not the normal size basically all my life, you know.
Right.
Bachpan se leke abhi tak. I think there was maybe 3 or 4 years in the middle between when I was 10 years old and 14 years of age, when I was like really skinny and really fit and like all of that. Oh, sorry, not really fit. Fitness is another thing, but plumpy, so to say, right? So there was these 4 years when I was very normal looking, let's put it that way, and other than that I've always been on the plus size, you know. Family, friends, everybody has always said, you know, Moti is my nickname, you know. It happens, and it happens in all Punjabi households, in all Indian households,
In
I'm
all
not even
Indian households, yeah.
you know. So but me coming from a, you know, Sardarni background, I'm a Sardarni, so you know, Sikhism has played such a huge part in who I am as an individual, and being brought up in a whole very typical Punjabi family, you know, it's hard. It's not easy to be constantly called out for it, to be constantly told ki bhai, you know, lose some weight, or you know, hi tu kinni moti ho gayi hai, hi tu, you know, hi you've lost weight, you know. It's not just one way, it is both ways. So now the last couple of months that I've been losing weight, this, that, every time I go somewhere, every time I'm with family, the first thing is commented on is, hi tu itna weight lose kar liya, you know. And the funniest thing was, couple of days ago, my nani is not really doing very well, and she's in and out of her mental state of recognition, not recognition, this, that.
Yeah.
So I went to see her the other day, and it was so cute. She immediately recognized me, and the first thing she said, "Hi, tu kitni patli ho gayi hai?" And I was just like, seriously, tanu air cheez dikh rahi hai, which is really funny, you know. But it was such, because you know, there have been drastic differences in how I've looked, how I'm feeling, and not gonna lie, losing weight obviously helps. But having said that, I've always been this size, and I will always, I think, be on the plus size, because I don't want to even be like a skinny person, because it's not my vibe, you know. I don't think I look good also being skinny now. But you know, body positivity is so much more than just being skinny or being fat. There's so much more elements to it, and I started talking about it because I felt so many people around me who I've grown up with, and even people that I've met at parties, you know, like we met the other day. There was so many other places that I go, and people were like, you carry yourself with such confidence, like why can't you just talk about this more? So that phrase of being told constantly, Kirat, you carry yourself with such confidence, why don't you talk about this more, is what really sparked my journey to talk more about body positivity and my diabetes on Instagram as well. But having said all of that, it takes a lot from you to accept every flaw that you have, because as humans, we are made to think about everything that is wrong with our body, especially women, you know, and constantly told you're less than this, you're less than this, you're less than this. So that is kind of holistically what started my journey on body positivity, so to say.
Okay. So how do you overcome this negative self-talk, and you know, about the body image of yourself? Aren't you like conscious? What are your struggles usually?
You know, the biggest struggle, especially being in India, is if you go to a mall and you try on clothes and they don't fit. That makes you go in a loop in a way nothing else does. And I've actually used this for my advantage and disadvantage. One time I was feeling really low and I didn't want to, like, you know, work out. I didn't want to do anything, this, that. We went to the mall and nothing fit me. This is literally a couple months ago. And I've had surgery, I've had all of this. A couple months, nothing fit me in the mall. I cannot tell you how disheartening that was, but how motivating that moment was. That moment is when I realized, I said, listen, Kira, today you've come to the mall, nothing's fit you. You're not coming back to the mall and where nothing fits you. You know, H&M and stuff, you'll still find clothes, but when you
Yeah.
go to like nicer things, little more extravagant you want to be. If I go to like an Indian boutique store, वहाँ पे तो मेरे size का कुछ मिल ही नहीं सकता. You know, it's
I
not
agree.
possible.
Yeah.
Being in New York, that was a different experience. You know, when I would go to the mall, I would find my size. I would be able to find clothes that fit me, looked good on me. Then there was also a lot more online shopping available in US and stuff. Abhi bhi, so many times when I need stuff, I literally order there and I get it shipped here because यहाँ पे sizes मिलना is such a big task.
Right.
So when it comes to like negative self-talk, right, that clothes is the first place where when you talk about your body, your negative self-talk starts. How do I overcome it? I use these things as motivating factors. So I really use this scenario in the mall as a motivating factor for myself. And I went, I think, a month later and went to Zara and I tried on a bunch of clothes. I think about 60% fit me this time and looked good, and I bought some pieces and I was very happy. So, you know, that change brings about. You have to pick what instance in life are you going to make as your pivotal moment, right? You can either make it or break it, you know.
Right.
So that's one way I do it. The second way is gratitude journaling. Gratitude journaling has really helped me get out of my negative self-talk when it comes to everything, because you know, if you follow my page, if you go see my journey, I've actually gone through surgery this year. I've moved back to India this year. I have been stuck in home. I was on bed rest for 2.5 months. You know, when you're on bed rest, you will gain weight. There is nothing you can do about it, right?
True.
Thankfully, I didn't gain as much. I was pretty okay with how much I gained. You know, there's your mobility is stuck. You can't. Dancing makes me happy. Dancing is my go-to. Could not dance. I still cannot dance properly. So all of these things add up, and they add up where? In your mental health, you know, that's where it gets affected. But you have to sit down, there is always going to be one little moment of joy in your day. There is always going to be something that you can pull energy from that has made you either happy or successful or, you know, just there. And that's what I started doing. That's what I started pulling from. When I write down in my gratitude journal, I write down for the most stupidest things you could say, but things that make my inner child happy, you know. And us energy say, when you work, when you function, when you start doing everything and you start giving that energy to yourself, that's when things change. That's when your mental health gets better. That's when you really focus on becoming a better version of you. Your comparison is not somebody else then. Your comparison is who you were the day before. So I guess that's where I draw my energy from to get rid of the negative self-talk.
So how much time usually in a day do you take out to write your journal?
5 minutes.
5 minutes.
5 minutes in the morning. I try to do it in the morning. I actually was trying to do it at night before I sleep, but it's actually helped me do it the following morning because it sets the tone for the day.
Yeah.
Instead of doing it at night, because at night you'll do it and you'll sleep, and then if you wake up with a bad mood, you have nothing to pull from, right?
Yeah.
So when I write down, but it has to be within the first 1 hour of you waking up, because what happens is after 1 hour you start engaging with other people, other experiences start happening. You can't pull that energy from yourself. So within the first hour of me waking up, I'm on day 36 today. Yeah, I'm on day 36 today. And for 36 days straight, every morning, 5 things. Give me the stupidest things. It doesn't have to be some, oh my God, I'm grateful for the roof over my head. No, that's not. I started doing it like that, and then my therapist actually told me, no, Kira, that is not what you have to be thankful. You have to be thankful for the small things. So like for tomorrow's gratitude journal, I already know that this podcast and the opportunity to do this podcast is going to be a part of my gratitude journal. You know, it's really small things. Saturday night is when we met, right? Yeah. So Sunday morning when I wrote in my gratitude journal, this was already one of the things that, oh my God, I'm so excited about the opportunities with the people I've met. So it's all about little things, you know. Barish ho rahi thi, I was going in a car, somebody else was not, you know, being able to go in a car.
True.
So just being grateful for that moment of, thank God I have a car to be able to get to this place. Yes, I have to drive it myself. Okay, that's fine, you know, but you find that joy. So that's where my gratitude journaling comes in from.
With journaling, it's something that, you know, I forget.
Yeah.
I I just can't continue, but I'm trying really hard to, continue the journaling part so that, it's very on and off with me. But however, I have seen the changes when I'm journaling. I'm more positive compared to those other times when I'm not journaling.
Because it helps you align your thoughts.
Yeah.
Journaling is nothing but a way to align your thoughts. You know, a lot of times they say meditate, right?
Yeah.
अब जब ध्यान में कोई बैठता है, right?
हाँ.
आपका ध्यान भटकेगा. We're humans, we're not Satyavachan, like some Babaji
Yeah.
that we can sit and like, just focus completely. नहीं होता है,
You have like 1,000 thoughts
Yeah.
immediately.
And that's why journaling helps, because you're writing down those thoughts. So when you're writing down those thoughts, you are only thinking about those thoughts. You're not thinking about anything else. Whereas when you sit in dhyan, right, and you close your eyes, your brain is going to go thought. Even if you want to focus on one thought, you can't, because it just doesn't happen. It takes a long time to get there. So
I think for meditation, you need a lot of practice. One needs a lot of practice to be able to finally shut those thoughts and, to reach in that state of mind where, it's just you and your body, and or maybe sometimes you forget that there's your body. So to reach that stage, I think, a lot of work needs to be done.
I think with meditation, because I've experienced so much of meditation in my life, it also depends on how close you are to your true self. And the reason I mentioned this is because I was living in US for the last couple of years, right? For 4-ish years. I've been out of India for 10-ish years now, out of which the last 4 were in the US. During these 4 years, I started losing myself. I started losing who I was as an individual. I started succumbing to my environment, the people who were around me, my friends, somebody that I'm seeing. All of those factors really play a role in who you become as an individual, right? And when you have people who help you be better, you will be better.
Yeah.
When there are people who pull you down, you will be pulled down. And in that pulling down moment, as individuals, we are so focused on making other people happy that we start losing ourselves. The moment you start losing yourself is the time when you start losing your relationship with God, if you are, astic, as we say. मेरे से पाठ नहीं होता था उस टाइम पे. I'm Sikh, as I said, so I used to do a lot of part before. I used to go to the Gurdwara. I used to do so much. But during my time in the US, this particular last couple of years, I lost my way with Babaji. I stopped doing so much part. I stopped going to the Gurdwara, and another way that affected was in the way I could sit in dhyan. Before my time in the US, I could sit in dhyan for maybe 15-20 minutes. I could sit, okay? Not saying I would be focused those 20 minutes, but out of those 20 minutes, I could sit properly for at least 8 to 10 minutes, which was proper meditative mode. And that was because I was close to myself. When I started losing myself and I came to India for the first time after 3 years, last year, I went for a yoga retreat, and I love doing these retreats and stuff. So I went for a yoga retreat. It was Atmantan in Pune.
Yeah.
And I went for meditation, sunset meditation. One of the most beautiful experiences you can have. I was so fidgety. I could not sit still for more than, I think, maybe 45 seconds or 1 minute. And within the 5 minutes that I was sitting there, I got up and I left. And I started crying. I just started crying because I didn't understand what was happening to my body. And then I spoke to the yoga teacher that was there, and I spoke to a couple other people. My Masi is also very much into this. And slowly is when I really understood, and this year is when that's really come back to me, is that I was losing myself, and that is the reason I couldn't sit in meditation. So long story short, be close to yourself, never lose yourself for other people.
Yeah.
Kirat, what does body positivity mean to you? I think as somebody plus size, obviously being accepted for the size that I am and loving myself no matter what size I am is one big part of body positivity for me. As Indians or as people in general, we discriminate on the basis of color, we discriminate on the basis of gender, we discriminate on the basis of size in terms of height also, So there's so many ways that we humans discriminate people.
Yeah.
And to me, body positivity and a true reform in body positivity would be when we accept every single individual for just who they are. Whether they have acne scars, whether they are dark skin, whether they are fair skin, whether they are short, whether they are tall, whether they are LGBTQ, that is also so much body
Yeah.
dysmorphia goes on in the LGBTQ community. So just being positive towards our own body and accepting that our body does so much for us than just looking a certain way. Looks is not what makes a person human. There is so much more than that. So to me, I think that is where body positivity really comes in, like just accepting each individual for who we are and loving ourselves first and then others as who they are.
And how has your relationship with your body has changed over time?
Oh God. Um, it's changed a lot, definitely, from being a plum child to being like a really skinny teenager with bones showing everywhere and braces and all of this, and then being bullied actually. I was bullied in school. I had a hate page against me and all of that. It
Where
was
did you
bad.
do your schooling from? Was it
Uh,
in
in,
Delhi?
in in Delhi, yeah,
Okay.
in Delhi, Gurgaon. Changed couple of schools, and in one of them, I was bullied very significantly. So there's that, and then changed to being a young adult who's a little on the plus size, and then being an adult who's very much on the plus size. Going back to now slowly, finding my balance with it. I've done yo-yo diets. I've been forced to go to the gym. I've been forced to, eat certain foods. It's been a lot of yo-yo in terms of where I feel, sorry, it's been a lot of yo-yo in terms of my body and my body image as to what I see my body as, and also what externally people see me as. But having said that, finally, I think this year I am in a position, I'm in a stage where I can say that I have accepted my body the way it is. Not saying that I'm not working to be better. Okay.
Yeah.
I want to look a certain way. I want to feel a certain way. I want to be a certain way. But I want to do it for my health, not because somebody's telling me, oh, you're so fat. Oh, somebody's telling me, you're too tall for this, or you are too, stumpy for this. All of these things, they don't matter to me anymore. Even, there are days when my parents will say something. I very politely started saying, I love you guys.
Yeah.
And I respect that you want the best for me. I want the best for me too. But I am not listening. I'm doing better. I am making conscious efforts to be better as an individual. And that's all I can really do, to get to a stage where you love your body, but at the same time know that you want to be better is where each individual should be. I want to be fit enough to be able to do a pull up. My goal for
Yeah.
myself is to be able to do a non-assisted pull up by next year. That's why I want to be strong. Do I want to look a certain way? I don't care about it as much. I care about the fact that my body internally should be so strong that I should be healthy. I should be able to focus on lifting heavy. I should not care if I walk into a room, my first thought should not be, oh my God, people are looking at me because I'm fat. That used to be the case previously. Can't be in a body hating phase to be better. You will not do justice to yourself, because when you come from a place of hate, right, with whether it's relationships with anybody or with yourself, it is always negative.
Right.
So the moment you change that attitude to being positive, कि ये जो हो रहा है अच्छा है, जो होएगा वो अच्छा होएगा, you get to a stage where you start loving yourself unconditionally, and that's where we need to get.
Yeah. But don't you think that a lot of these comments we often, I don't know about other part of the country of the world, but about India,
Yeah.
we get a lot of it from our own family, more than friends, I guess, own family, because I think till today it's very easy for anybody from your family to just, maybe your parents or anything, it's very easy for them to probably just come and tell you, ओ कितनी मोटी हो गई हो, कितनी पतली हो गई हो, ओ तुम्हारे स्किन को क्या हो गया है, और लेट्स से इतना जिम जाने की ज़रूरत क्या है. You know, do you think that this is something that family क्योंकि ये तो हमारी फैमिली है ना।
Yeah.
तो ये डू यू थिंक कि इस तरीके के फीडबैक्स हमारे फैमिली हमें दे सकते हैं और हम एंड वी शुड माइंड, डू यू थिंक ऐसा कुछ?
See, this is a very controversial question because it also depends on what kind of relationship you have with your family. Okay.
Yeah.
So now let me obviously talk from my personal experience, right? I'm
Right.
very close to my parents. Like, touch wood, everybody who knows me knows that my parents are my life.
Right.
And I know everything they say to me comes from a place of pure love. They
Right.
want me to look better, they want me to feel better, they want me to do better. And also, as a diabetic, I shouldn't be the size that I am currently. I should be a little lesser than this, which is fine. Like, I accept that. But then there will be family elements who will just do it to get under your skin. There are people
Yeah.
who are doing it out of a very negative feedback loop, right? And not even in the sense of like, ki tu moti ho gayi hai. There are people who, I'm not obviously going to name names here,
Yeah.
but there are people who don't like the fact that I'm losing weight. There are people who don't like that I'm looking better because it's obviously getting me kind of attention that anybody who's transforming, who's doing better by themselves will be getting. And there are those elements as well. There are, you as an adult, you have to slowly start filtering people out of your life. We don't understand this and we're not taught this as Indian kids, because Indian kids
Yeah.
mean everybody's like, bus, that's it, respect.
Yeah.
Respect is earned, respect is not given. Okay. And once you become an adult and you start sifting through people who are positive for you, negative for you, and obviously it takes a long time to understand that, you start realizing that this was like, for example, my nani, right? My nani is never going to come up to me and say something to me not out of pure love. Like,
Yeah,
everything is
yeah.
out of sheer love for me, right? So I would never take that in a negative light, and I understand that. And there is also ways how things are put across. Like, my parents, when I came back from America and I'd gained so much and all that, sat me down. They're like, "Beta, you've gained weight, and it's a problem, not just because of this, the way you look, but it is also a problem because of your health, your your diabetes, your history, all of it, right? That's a different way versus somebody who comes up and says, hi, tu kitni soni lag rahi hai, but je tu thodi patli hondi na, te tera te matlab it would have been like great, right?
Yeah.
For listeners who don't understand Punjabi, it's basically like, you look very pretty, but you should have been little lesser, like little less weight, you would have looked so pretty, right? I've had people come up to me and say that, right? And previously I would get really sad and this, that, da, da, da. Now if anybody comes and says that to me, I literally turn on them like, and sorry, now if somebody comes and says that to me, I literally turn around and say, I just heard up to the part where you called me pretty, thank you very much, and I walk off. I've actually done that to somebody very recently.
Yeah.
So I'm like, you have to learn to sift, as adults and as Indian kids who turn into young adults, who turn into adults. I still don't think I'm an adult. But anyway, you have to just learn to sift through energies of people, and that's the only way you can do better by yourself.
Our listeners are going to be really inspired by you because the confidence that you carry. I think most of the women, I think, or men should have this kind of a confidence. I think men are equally body shamed since we are
Yeah.
two women talking about it.
Yeah.
But yes, it's the reality where the men are also body shamed equally as much.
I think men are more body shamed towards height, and that is something they can't do anything about, which is a
Oh,
very
true.
sad thing to say, but that's where it is. And as a tall girl myself, I'm not saying I haven't indulged in that. I have, and I hate it about myself. But that is where the thing for men comes in. For women, at least it's chalo weight hai, so we can
Huh.
fix it, right? It's
Yeah.
a fixable problem. For men, it takes so much more of a toll on their mental health because it's a non-fixable problem. It's not something they can do something about.
Yeah, yeah,
So, yeah.
absolutely. What role does social media play in perpetuating a negative body image?
Oh my God, the biggest role, if anything, plays today is social media, because the first thing we do, selfie, if we're uploading a selfie, right? Paris filter, straight up.
My favorite filter.
I think everybody's favorite filter, right? Like, I have acne scars. Obviously, I cover them well with my makeup skills.
Yeah,
But
really nice.
I don't care for putting makeup less selfies. Like, I do it all the time on my socials, and there are days when the lighting is maybe not the most perfect, and I'll be like, "Acha, chalo, aaj laga deti hu Paris filter," right? Like, even I do it.
Yeah.
I'm somebody who wants to talk about body positivity, who does it, but at the same time, there are days when I'm like, okay, nay, I want to just put the filter there, right? So everybody does it, and what ends up happening is when you do too much of it, right? There are creators that I know that will not post something without putting a filter on it, or there are people that I actually am friends with these people, and I'm not going to name names, but there is one friend of mine who will only upload photos that are clicked on a different platform with a different filter and then are uploaded on Instagram. I have another one, and this is really funny. We all know in the circle that this person edits the images, okay, to the point where sizes are changed, okay.
Yes.
I am so proud of the fact that I have never ever in my life edited a single photo. If I'm looking a certain way, that is what I'm looking, but I know how to pose really well, that
Yeah.
at times I look maybe two sizes smaller than I am, okay, and that's okay, that I'm okay with
Yeah.
that, right? But there are people who will edit their photos, who will like do all of this, and that
Make themselves taller,
I haven't seen taller, but I have seen thinner,
thinner.
but in a very bad way. To the point where I've had another friend and me, we kind of, every time we see her photo, every time we see this person's photo, we share it with each other कि आज उसने इतनी editing करी है, आज उसने उतनी
But
editing
the
करी
thing
है.
is, you can make out ki.
Yeah, but some people think that you can't make out, but you
Yeah.
really can. It is the easiest thing to make out in the world.
Exactly.
I've had so many, like, and this is something I've seen over the years. This is not something new. Like, I saw it when Instagram was starting out. I see it today as well. Yes, as creators who are bigger, who have obviously got a bigger limelight on them, people try to avoid it. They try to obviously use posing skills or very slight editing here and there to, get the image where it needs to be. Obviously, cover photos for magazines, those are different things altogether.
Yeah.
But all of this, even that slight retouching, that slight filter, that slight posing, I'm going to include my posing in it as well, creates a whole narrative of this person looks better than they are, right? Or
Yeah.
what they look like. For example, one time, one of my aunts actually told my dad कि कीरत ने कितना weight lose कर लिया है and stuff. And my dad goes, तोनु पता नहीं है. She just knows how to pose really well. And I was like, Papa, why did you say that?
Yeah.
But the fact is, it's facts. It's truth,
Yeah.
and it's something that I don't shy away from.
Yeah.
And I'm honest about it. A lot of people are not honest about it. And what it does is, creates this whole thing of like, I should look like this person, I can look better than this, I should be looking like this, I should be looking like that. If you actually go and see ads for activewear, a lot of brands in the US specifically, put in those extra butt in the butt kind of a thing to show a more rounded
Yeah.
glute,
I
so
get it.
so they do that. That's not somebody's real body, that's not how it is, but it is perpetuating the image that, oh, this is what you should aspire to be, right? When you talk about acne scars, we all have acne scars somewhere or the other. If you don't have acne scars, we have pores, it is skin. But the moment we put a filter on it, it does not look like skin, it does not feel like skin, and that is what everybody tries to get to, right? Then if you talk about color, people correct their color on social media. So there's so many different layers to doing this on social media. Thigh gap, thigh gap is actually a term that has been banned from Pinterest. If you actually go on Pinterest and search thigh gap, it will literally come up as, if you are going through some body dysmorphia issues, please reach out to this mental health line. Something. ऐसे कुछ था, मुझे exactly नहीं याद, but we can like look it up and see. But thigh gap is a word that you can't search anymore. Why? Because there were a lot of creators or people in general, I'm not even going to say creators, people in general that were posting about how they have a thigh gap, right? And it's such a aspirational thing to be at to get a thigh gap. So young girls have started to search for thigh gaps and ways to get to thigh gaps. And what is the way to get to thigh gap? Don't eat. What are you eating all day? Water. You're not giving yourself nutrients. You're not, like, literally, the word skank. Like, that's what they want to look like. I don't know if it is an appropriate word to use or not, but that was becoming the goal, and that is why Pinterest had to ban this word called thigh gap, because Pinterest is the platform we use for inspiration. You know, what we want to look like, what we want to use, do. So yeah, social media plays the biggest role in creating negative self-talk, and that's just where it starts. And I guess the only way to stop it is to start talking about it and becoming more vocal about it and calling people out on it. Like, I really like some of my friends who were engaging in editing and doing too much filters and stuff. Casually, I have not sat them down, but casually I have called them out on it and been like, listen, you do this, but why don't you just show yourself as to who you are? You know, just start accepting who you are, and it'll really feel better.